March Madness 2019 is almost over and I know nothing about basketball, so I watched Hoop Dreams. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. Today I will be checking Hoop Dreams off the 1001 movie checklist. If you do not know what the 1001 movie checklist or 1001 movie challenge is, it is basically a challenge I've given myself to check off every single movie from the 1001 movies you must see before you die book. So far, I've checked 169 films off the list. If you want to know more, there's a playlist up there with every single film I've checked off in the series so far, plus a little intro video. As always, let's get started with a short summary. Following the lives of two inner-city Chicago boys, Hoop Dreams documents their real-life struggles following their dreams to college basketball in the NBA. So before I really get into a lot of this, let's just say this is going to be probably one of the shortest 1001 videos I've ever done because I honestly have very little to talk about on this. So, going into this is a 3-hour-long documentary. I like documentaries, I love documentaries, and most of the documentaries I like are like true crime or serial killer documentaries or film documentaries. Actually, I think it goes like film documentaries and then like true crime and serial killers. But basketball is not one of those documentaries, or sports documentaries, unless it's about football, because I do like football. Yeah, this one, I knew going into it was kind of going to be a tough sell for me because even though I grew up in like the basketball state, Indiana Hoosiers, anyways, besides the fact that I'm talking about college basketball and I know little to nothing about basketball in general, this film was actually kind of nostalgic for me because a lot of the basketball sounds, I know that sounds really, really weird, but like hearing the sneakers squeaking on that wooden floor, the sound of the basketball, the sound of the announcers. From the Chicago Stadium, a standing rolling crowd, and a steal by Jordan. He spun it away from the mailman. And it all just brought this really nostalgic feeling back to me because this documentary is set in the late 80s to early 90s in Chicago, which is about a 3.5-hour drive from where I grew up in Indianapolis. So yeah, this is like, it just felt very nostalgic for me. There is even this little interstitial.
From Chicago, it's the Sports Writers on TV.
I think I may have seen the next Isaiah Thomas. St. Joe of Westchester has a kid named William Gates who is starting as a freshman.
Remember, you heard it first from Bill Gleason.
Put it in your memory bank,
Put it in your memory bank.
William Gates.
This sports clip, I think it's like the Sports Writers on TV. I'm pretty sure, my dad can correct me, I'm pretty sure this is a show that my dad and my grandpa used to watch. I vaguely remember something like that sounded very similar to this growing up, listening to it either at my, like at home or at my grandparents' house. It just felt very nostalgic for me. Plus, like hearing all the basketball sounds from like when they were watching TV and when they showed the boys playing basketball, it just like, it reminded me of when my dad and my grandpa used to watch basketball, the sounds that I would hear from the TV. So yeah, and plus like all of the 90s fashion and the Midwest feel of it all, even though it's like very inner city Chicago, and like the Catholic school, he went like one of the boys, well, they both start at a Catholic, like the boys get recruited from the inner city to go to this Catholic school to be, well, it's more of like a college prep school, but it's St. Joseph's. It's a Catholic school, I believe, if I'm not wrong. But they like get recruited to go to this college prep school, and the whole vibe of that school, because with the uniforms and stuff, is very reminiscent of the school that I went to. Even though I didn't go to a high school like that, I did grow up going to an elementary and a middle school like that. So it did have like, it brought back a lot of nostalgia for me. But something I will say that this film does very well, and one of the reasons why it is a very highly revered film, is it does show how two different lives, or how the lives of two different people who grew up in a very similar fashion can kind of separate and go their own separate ways, and how they can evolve based on the opportunities that they are given. So there is William and there's Arthur. William ends up going and they both end up going to St. Joseph's, but Arthur gets kicked out because his family can't pay for it. Like, they get a scholarship, but his family can't pay for half of the scholarship, and he gets kicked out, and his grades aren't really as good as they probably need to be for him to stay on the basketball team. So he has to go back to public school, and William stays, and he gets his other half of the tuition covered by a grant, and the person who is also helping cover his grant scholarship, or covering the grant, his other half of his tuition, also gives him a job in his sophomore year. So you can see how these two boys they have started from the very same places, and they're given kind of the similar start, but because of the opportunities that they end up getting handed to them, their lives go in very different directions. And there's multiple times where it seems like William is going to be the one that comes out on top. That's not kind of the way I am meaning it, but it seems like William has all of the better advantages because he just keeps getting handed all of these really great opportunities, while it seems like Arthur is just kind of slacking and not really doing his best. And he doesn't really hang out with some of the best crowds. His best friend and him goof off in summer school, and then his best friend eventually gets arrested for, I think, drug dealing. I think that's what they said he was arrested for towards the end of senior year. And just, Arthur kind of goes down not necessarily a worse path, because he does try to keep on the straight and narrow, but he does entangle with some drug dealers because his dad ends up getting arrested for dealing drugs. And because of the opportunities that William is given, he is able to go to this prestigious Nike basketball camp in the summer where he gets scouted by college scouts, which here's another very nostalgic thing for me. The one and only Bobby Knight, the coach of the Indianapolis Hoosiers. Why do I keep saying the Indianapolis Hoosiers? The IU Hoosiers, which is a big deal in Indiana. Bobby Knight, the most famous coach in Midwest sports, I believe. He was in this documentary. It was very weird. Spike Lee was also in this, which was another crazy thing, but that's not as nostalgic for me as seeing Bobby Knight in this documentary. They also had Indianapolis Colts jackets, which is very weird because it's right around the time that the Colts moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis. But anyways, some more kind of contrasting areas between the two boys' lives. So William ends up getting into a great college, while Arthur has to go to a junior college, which is kind of like almost a community college, before going on to an actual college. I did do some research on a Where Are They Now situation. I think the article I read was from 2018. Arthur used the money that he earned to set up a fund, like a scholarship fund, I believe, and he also started his own clothing line called Hoop Dreams, and he's really been doing well for himself, while William, he ended up becoming disillusioned with basketball and kind of starting to quit the team that he was playing for in college and focusing more on family and his academic pursuits. He ended up losing a lot of the money that he earned in royalties, and he's not been doing as well. So it's a very interesting end to the way the two boys' lives are portrayed in this film, as William seems to be going on the better path and Arthur seems to not be. Another big difference between the two boys is that while William seems to be going on the up path, he also is one that kind of helps his team lose while they're in the playoffs for the big state championships, while Arthur is a really big player in helping his team get third place in the state championships. So that's pretty much all I got for this, but the clip for this, it was really hard for me to choose a clip for this because it was a documentary and it didn't feel like, nothing felt like it really stood out to me until I was watching the trailer for this, trying to get some inspiration, and there's this line, you don't see William say it, but you hear him say it, and it just really stood out to me, and I really liked the clip when I really liked the line when I heard it the first time, but I didn't really think about it until I heard it in the trailer.
If I had to stop playing basketball right now, I think I'd still be happy. I think I would. That's why when somebody say, man, when you get to the NBA, don't forget about me and all that stuff, I should say to them, well, if I don't make it, but you don't forget about me.
that is all I have for Hoop Dreams. As always, these are just my opinions, but I'd love to know yours in the comments down below. What is your favorite sports documentary if you have one? I definitely do not. But if you don't have a favorite sports documentary, what's your favorite documentary in general? If you want to know which films I have already watched or just keep up with my progress, there's a link to a Google Doc in the description down below with a list of every single film I have checked off so far. I'm also an Amazon affiliate, so if you would like to start the challenge for yourself, find the movie I talked about today or the one I'm going to be talking about next time. There are some links in the description as well, and if you purchase anything from those links, I'll get a little bit of a percentage back that'll help make this channel even better. And for the next film I'm going to be checking off, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a change of pace because the 25th anniversary of 4 Weddings and a Funeral is coming up on April 15th. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really truly do appreciate every single one of you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new because I love talking things, movies, TV shows, filmmaking, mystery, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you next time. Bye!